listeners. I formally welcome to you in this webinar. The webinar is about ISO 9001 and ISO 45001 standards introduction. My name is Anasuddin Khan and I'm working as a director for HACQ Professions and I'm responsible for the operation in Saudi Arabia. And as far as my qualification is concerned, I did my master's in chemical and around 15 years of experience in the field of quality, safety, environment, and food safety. In my career, I performed more than 3,000 hours of training on different standards. I'm a proof auditor for 9001, 45,001, 14,001, and 22,001. Apart from the auditing, I did a third party and second party audit. I'm still doing these audits continuously for various national and multinational companies. In my career, I performed more than 600 audits for these standards, which includes uh, uh, some audits for the as a second party and some ISO certification audits. As far as the consultancy experience is concerned, I did more than 30 projects, national and international, for the development, for the quality management system, health and safety management system, environmental and food safety management systems. So in this webinar, what we are going to discuss is about the introduction of these standards. So we can understand the major requirements of these standards, and then we can apply these standards in our companies. I will keeping asking you the questions during each slide. I will try to ask the question after each slide. But in the meantime, if you have any questions, you can raise your hand on the chat. I can see your chats, and also you can speak. But if you are not speaking and you are just listening, so I would request to keep your microphone on mute, so there will be no distortion for the others. I hope my voice is clear to you guys.
Yes, it's loud and clear.
Okay. So let's start with the benefits of health and safety. Why we need to have health and safety systems? What are the benefits? Because this ISO 9000 is about the quality, ISO 45000 is about the safety. So before starting ISO, we need to understand what are the benefits of health and safety and quality. Yes, can anyone give me the answer? In your own
ISO,
words.
ISO 9001 is applicable only for that we continuously meet the requirements of quality standard for the customers, and also getting the improvement in our system in the terms of quality.
Very good. What is the benefit of these systems? Why do the companies they need? Any other can speak, please?
For regarding quality, customer satisfaction will be achieved. Coming to the health safety, the risk and this fatality will be decreased, so that there will be no, I mean, the
Major
safety
accidents.
standards.
Yeah, exactly. Very good. Very good. The first thing, see, when we talk about industries, when we talk about companies, if it's a manufacturing site, if it is a company sites, the main intent is to be safe. The main intent for the company is to keep the business continuity all the time. The main purpose of the company is not to protect people all the time. The companies are not for the charity purpose. The companies are for the business purpose. So these quality and safety standards are basically going to, as Mr. Mubin said, they are going to improve the efficiency. They are going to achieve our strategic objectives. They are going to support us in our compliance. And you can see even nowadays the media is very fast. So anything happens, it comes to the media. So if any accident happen in your company, it will come to the media very fast, from Asia to Europe and America to Africa. So we are all nowadays, we are all mashallah reporters, and when we see anything, any negative, we make it's our responsibility that we should share. Even sometimes we share it without any research, without any authorization and authentications. So there are many benefits of health and safety systems, and if the companies are complying with these health and safety systems, definitely their legal requirements are going to be improved. If the legal requirements are going to be improved, which means there will be no penalties, there will be no challans. If the company is implementing good health and safety system, which means that the workers' morale is going to be increased. For example, if you are working in a company where there is always a lot of accidents, so now 2 days before your colleague has got injured, badly injured, or had the fatality accident, and tomorrow you are also going to perform the same activity. So what will be the impact on your mind? Where is your level of motivation? So kindly please make your microphone on silent. So your all motivation, level of motivation is going to be reduced, which is not a good thing for anyone. So there are many benefits of health and safety which can impact on our overall the system of compliance, the overall system of the company, and especially the business continuity, right?
Okay.
What is ISO?
International Standard Organization.
Yes, international standard organization. Mr. Ibrahim, I think I listen you after a long time.
Thank you. Thank you, sir.
ISO is basically an organization. It's an international organization, right? It works like UN. You know, we have UN, United Nations, which is an international organization. ISO is also same like UN. It's an international organization. And like UN, its office is also in Switzerland, Geneva. The ISO is an NGO-based organization. Okay, it is not meant for any profitable activity or any business activity. So ISO, the purpose for ISO is to meet the requirements of their members. The purpose of ISO is to develop such standards and guidelines so the member countries can improve their efficiency, so the member countries can improve their productivity, and the member countries can have good systems of compliance in their companies. When we talk about ISO, ISO standards are not the mandatory standard for anyone to follow. ISO standards are voluntary standards, okay? But once you are going to adopt any of the standard for ISO, then it becomes mandatory to follow the requirement of this. For example, once your company is getting certificated by ISO 9001 or ISO 45001 or any other standard. So now it becomes a mandatory requirement for your company to follow the requirement of these standards. But until unless your company was not certified, so it was not a mandatory requirement for you to follow the requirements of ISO. Sometimes it is a requirement of your clients that you have to take ISO standard and you have to follow. Sometimes company top management decide by themselves that we want to improve. That's why we need ISO management system. So when we have ISO management system, which means there is a consistency in the system. ISO management systems are equally applicable. These are equally important, and the clauses of standards are same all around the world. If a company is following ISO 9001 standard in US, if a company is following ISO 9001 in New Zealand, so the same requirements are also applicable to the company which is situated or located in India, Pakistan, or any other country. So it doesn't mean that the standards are going to change with the geographical location. The requirements of standards are same, and these standards are very generic standards, right? These standards are very generic standard where these are not the specific standards. For example, ISO 9000, 45000, environmental management system 14,000, 22,000. These are all generic. Any of the company who want to improve themselves, they can apply these standards and they can continue the implementation of these standards to improve their productivity, to improve their business. So similarly, ISO, they are not only developing the standards, ISO also develop the guidelines, right? Some of them are guidelines. when we say ISO has established more than 22,000 or 25,000 standards, all of them are not the management systems. And ISO, the scope of work is very broad. Sometimes you will find ISO specifications only. These are not standard, these are not the guidelines, these are specifications. Sometime in oil and gas, you will find that they are doing the testing according to ISO some standard, ISO 5026, for example. Sometime you will see that automobile sector, they are manufacturing the automobile which meets the requirement of ISO 2231, for example. So ISO is not only developing the management system, but ISO is developing the management system. ISO is developing the guidelines, and ISO is also developing the technical specification for the companies. And their members are countries, basically, not the individual. For example, I cannot be directly the member of ISO unless I'm a scientist or I'm a very experienced consultant. I can make the contribution in the standard development. Otherwise, the members countries, they nominate from the ministries as a member of ISO. So every country, they have their accreditation bodies, they have their technical bodies, which are the member of ISO basically. And they are getting inputs from the member countries. For example, whenever ISO is going to develop any standard or guideline, how they are going to develop the standard or guideline? By issuing the draft standard. Once they issue the draft standard, then this draft standard is going to the member countries, and member countries, they are going to check it, they are going to review it, they start implementation. So after 4 months, after 5 months time, they are going to provide the feedback about this standard. So on the basis of these standard, of their feedback, ISO is going to be improve their standard. On the basis of these feedback, ISO is going to be improve the standard and make the modification whenever needed. So once more than 70% of the member countries are agree on one standard, they issue this as a final draft. So this final draft is now is the main standard. After this final draft, very slight modification is being carried out. Otherwise, this final draft is considered as the main standard. So after 2015, all of the ISO management system standards have become very symmetric to each other, right? They have become very symmetric to each other. What does it mean? Which means that all of the management system standards which have been developed after 2015, they have the same level of structure. We call it high level of structure. This high level of structure is what? This high level of structure means that they are having the same number of clauses. Even the clause names are same. Even the methodology of the standards is same. So the people cannot be confused in between 9,000 and in between other standards. So if you are be able to understand one standard, for example, 9001, for you, it will be very easier to understand ISO 45,000 standard. For you, it will be easier to understand ISO 14,000 standard. Because why? The structure is same, methodology is same. Only our level of thinking, how we are going to perceive the requirement, how we are going to understand and implement the requirement, it is the change. But otherwise, the framework, we call it, ISO call it high level of structure. It's same. Before 2015, some standard have 7 clauses, some standard have 10 clauses, some standard have 12 clauses. So all the time people were confused, right? If you are an auditor for one standard, or if you are a trainer for one standard, you have to remember each and every clause for each standard, because every standard had different clauses. So, but now after 2015, all the standards which are being issued or which are being upgraded, they are now meeting the requirements of high level structure, and they are following the same 10 clauses pattern. Any question?
Sir, I got one doubt. If every management system is having same framework and same clauses, why can't this integrated management system will be superseding this all systems?
Yeah, very good question. Actually, the structure is same, right? But the requirements of clauses are not the same. For example, when we say structure, which means every standard required policy, right? But it is not necessary that the quality policy will be same as health and safety policy. Yes. Any other question? So any standard, every standard will have the different methodology for the development of policy. Every standard will discuss about the risks which are applicable to its scope of work. Now, when during these slides, I have put the clauses. That's why in one slide, on the left side, you will find 9,000 clauses, and on the right side, you will find 45. So then you can compare, even the name of the clauses are same, but what we are going to derive from these clauses is different, right? That's why some of
Sir,
the
another doubt,
companies,
sir.
yeah, I'm completing my question, answer.
Okay.
That's why some of the companies, they have IMS management system. It is easier for them to adopt 2-3 management system. When I was working in Unilever, we had 4 management system, like quality management system, like health and safety management system, that was OSHA's 18001. Then we had environmental management system, and then food safety system, which is 22,001. So it doesn't matter if you have 2 systems, or if you have 2 management system or 3 management system, you can integrate with each other. You can develop the combined policy. You can develop the combined, management review, internal audit, some other requirements of HR, for example, purchasing. These can be integrated easily. But some of the clauses which are more technical, for example, clause number 8, operational control clause, this cannot be integrated with another, standard. So this
Sir,
is what.
yeah, I got another doubt, sir.
Yes, please.
Sir, this project management system, how it differs from this the subsystems, sir, regarding, like, as you said, there are so many quality, scope, schedule, and all these thing management systems, right? So how
Right.
this project management system is differ actually?
No, project management is entirely a different thing, and quality management system is entirely a different thing. We can integrate some of the component, because quality management system is also a part of project management system, right? And when you discuss the project management system, one of the module is about the quality management system. But on principle, these are the different things. We cannot combine these. We can only easily combine only ISO management system together, not other system. Otherwise, even HACCP system is also a very good food safety system. You can integrate with ISO. So those standards which are following the management system requirement, they can be integrated easily.
Okay, you mean this organization, every organization will have this management systems, but only every project will have a project management system, right?
Exactly. Exactly.
Thank
These
you, sir.
management systems are long-term standards,
Yeah.
long-term application. Project management, when you are going to apply, it will be based on only on the project. Once the project is finished, khalas, then you will go for this management system, or this project management is no more applicable. So what is
Okay.
the management system? Yes, anyone define management system? The management system is basically the framework which gives us the requirement. As I told you, high level structure. What high level structure? Our management system. What are the management system? It is going to define the organization policies, goals, objectives, procedure, and process. If these elements of the system are available, then we can say that we have the management system. Once we have the management system available, it should be implemented, it should be maintained, and it should be improved. Only management system for the sake of documentation is not enough. The management system, that once we go in different companies as an auditor, we find that in the quality manager office, in the health and safety manager office, you will find many colorful folders, right? Which shows that they have too much documentation. They have procedures and policies for each and everything. But sometime when you go on site, when you go on the production area, when you go on the construction site, you will find that these management system require the documentation is not being implemented. So if the management system documentation is not being implemented, which means one pillar is missed, your management system will not be delivered. Why we are getting the management system? To improve our system. So if we want to improve our system, we need to be implement this system, and not only implementation at the time of audit or implementation at the time of certification is enough. We need to maintain consistency in our practices. these practices, we need to have consistency. And then when we are going to implement this system all the time, definitely our system is going to be improved. So the result of this management system will be the improvement in your system. Sometimes I used to go in the company and they told, oh, Mr. Anas, we are certified for last 10 years, but we don't get any benefit of it. So I used to say, because you did not implement the system like it has to be. You implemented the system just to pass the audit. So you are passing the audit. But the true essence of this implementation, or the true essence of this management system, you can only get once you are implementing in a wholeheartedly. It's not only for the sake of documentation or only just meet few requirements and don't meet certain requirement. We are meeting this requirement for our client, or we are meeting this requirement just for the sake of audit. So management system is the framework which define our policies, goals, procedures, and processes, and which should be implemented, maintained, and improved. The conclusion of any management system should be improvement. If your management system is not giving you improvement after 1 year, after 2 year time, then khalas, this management system is not delivering. You don't need management system, or you are not be able to apply the management system. The fault is not with the management system. The fault is with your approach. The management commitment is the main thing which is needed to apply management system. Yes, any question?
Regarding, as you said just before, this is not a mandatory, and the company, when it claims, when it gets a certification from ISO, whatever 9001, 2015, will they be legally obligated? I mean, from the client side or something, that, if they violate anything?
Yeah, exactly. Sometimes if your client is needed, it is a requirement of your, for example, Aramco vendor qualification, SABIC vendor qualification, it is one of their requirement that you should have the management system, this certification of management system available. So you have to take, and then when they are doing your audit, they would like to see your audit report, they would like to see your audit certificates. So then once you adopt it, if it is for the client or if it is not for the client, it becomes mandatory, right? If you are not adopting it, it is not a mandatory requirement. Okay.
No, sir. My question is, if my company is having ISO 9001, 2015 standard, but unfortunately it is not compliant to some of the things, like for example, the HR related thing operation. So who will they be accountable for any legal obligation? This is my question.
See, for the legal obligation, for example, HR requirement, management system gives you the requirement in the clauses, right? If the company is not giving the salary on time, this will not be considered in ISO 9001, but this can be considered in 9001 or 14001 when we are doing the risk assessment, when we are going to see the opportunities. Okay, this we will discuss in the clauses coming. But due to this only reason, you will not get fail. You got my point? Because there are many technical requirements which you are going to meet. HR is not the technical requirement for 9001 or 14001, 45001. So 9001, ISO 9001. 9000 means what? 9000 means what? Yes, any other 9000 means what?
Quality related management system.
Very good, very good. 9000 means that this series is dedicated for the quality management system, right? All the standards which are going to fall under 9000, for example, 9001, 2, 4, these will all be related to the quality management system. And when we say 1, it means the requirement. 9001, 1 means requirement. So ISO 9001 is basically the series for quality management system. 2015 means that it was last published in 2015. So up till now, the current or the most updated version of ISO 9001 is 2015. Before it was 2008. So 9001 is the quality management system. Before, the standard was a bit narrow. It was surrounded by one QMR, quality management representative. Now the standard has become very broadening. It is more focusing on the business. It wants that your business quality should be improved. When your business quality, when we say business, which means all the areas are included, not only the production or not only the quality department itself. So that's why this standard is now having more acceptance. Before, the standard of 9000 was very limited. So it's a management system standard which gives you international consensus on good management. Any of the standard, how the standard is being developed. The standards are basically only the set of good practices, good industrial practices. You have some good industrial practices, I have some good industrial practices. Yalla, let's sit together and combine our good industrial practices. So then we can say that it's a guideline or it's a standard. It is not necessary that only ISO will have the standard. You can have your own. Corporates, they have their own management, they have their own standards available, right? Companies, they develop their own standards. Once they become more mature, they say, no, we don't need to follow 9001. We have our own management system, or we have our own standards or the framework which we are going to implement. So serve as a framework for continuous improvement. As I told you, if after ISO, having ISO, if you are not being improved, which means that there is a problem in your implementation side. Clear? What is 45001? 45 says what?
As an international
Management system. Health and safety environment management system. So sorry, it's only safety management system.
Safety, occupational health and safety, right?
Yeah.
When we say safety only, safety is a generic word.
Yeah.
But this standard is more focusing on occupational. When we say occupational, what does it mean?
Related from occupation.
Relevant to your occupation. Very good. If you are going to get injured at your home, will it be considered as occupational accident or no?
No.
Why?
Cannot. Because it is not from the occupation. If I am from occupation, working from home, then it will be considered.
Very good. Very good. But nowadays we are all working from home. So our
Yeah,
accident at home will be considered as occupational accident, right?
Yeah, correct.
So 45,000 series of ISO is basically dedicated to health and safety requirements, right? Health and safety standard, any of the ISO management system standard, which are going to fall in 45,000 series, it will be somehow related to health and safety, right? It could be guideline, it could be technical specification, it could be a standard, management system standard. But whenever you will find, maybe after 6 months, you will find one product or one company, they say we are ISO 45028 certified, or this product comply with 45,028 standard. Then what does it mean? What should come in your mind? What should come in your mind? If you will find a mobile phone and on the back side you will read that this mobile has met the requirement of ISO 45022 standard. So it means that this mobile manufacturing process is meeting the requirement of some requirement of health and safety. It is not necessary to remember every code, but as a safety professional, as a quality professional, when you are working in the field, you should know that this 9000 series is dedicated for the quality standards. This 45,000 series is dedicated for the health and safety standard. 14,000 series is dedicated for the environmental management systems, right? So it should become in our mind that this product is meeting some requirements of health and safety, which we don't know. No problem. Not necessary to know everything. Okay. So ISO 45. Yes, please.
I have one question.
Yes,
the
please.
question was, one of the gentlemen, he mentioned if you are working at home, still considered like occupational health and safety. Like the company is responsible for you. How it's come. They don't know how your home is safe or not safe.
Yeah, exactly. See, it depends from company to company. Sometimes the companies, they provide you the guidelines or the standards. I know many corporate, they have issued the guidelines, how to work remotely, right? And how to taking care of health and safety. But some companies, they say that it's okay, you have to work. You can work from anywhere. We want work, or we want you to be available to meet our targets. So it doesn't matter. Again, it's a policy of the company if they are going to facilitate you in this regard or no. The first thing, if they have the policy available, how to do the job when you are on remote access. This is the first thing. If they don't have the policy, khalas, they can say that we are not responsible. If they have the policy available and you are meeting this policy, and in meeting these requirements, you will get any injury or ill health issue, then you can claim with the company, right? Otherwise, you cannot claim with the company if they don't have the policy available.
That's mean
Okay.
it depends.
It depends on the company.
In the company. Oh, okay.
Exactly. Sometimes the government, for example, now the government, they have issued some regulations. For example, the salary issues, right? So the leave issues. So in this case, we have to follow the government. The company has to follow the legal requirements. Otherwise, to consider the ill health or injury issues, it is the company policy. Clear?
Okay, thank you.
ISO 45000 was published in 2018. It is the latest standard of health and safety management system, which is from ISO. Before 45001, there was the management system. We called it OSHA's 18000. If any of you are old people who are implementing health and safety system before, they know that what is OSHA's. OSHA's was established in 1999, and up to 2018 it was applicable, but it was not an ISO standard. Then ISO they developed their own standard, which is 45001. So the 45001 discuss about the requirements of occupational health and safety. It gives you the guideline, so you can apply the controls proactively to prevent injury and ill health. Before 15 years, the concept was only for focusing on injury, safety. Now you can see the companies, they have the department called HSE. Now the companies, they have the department called EHS, right? These are, what does it mean? Not only the safety department, it's health and safety, which means that they are now more focusing towards injury. They are more focusing towards ill health issues. For example, an employee is working in a high noise area, in the generator room, he is a generator operator or the boiler operator, exposing to high noise. He will not get injury, but he will get ill health issues. So that's why it is now HOH. Otherwise, before the companies were focusing on SSS, safety. But now the standard is giving them the requirement. No, you have to focus on ill health issues. For example, ergonomic issues. For example, stress issues, psychological issues. Your manager is shouting all the time on you. The management is doing criticism on you all the time. So these all issues are considered as ill health issues, and these are being addressed in ISO 45001.
Like environmental health.
Environmental health, we have 14001. You can see in the slide that the consistency within the standards are too much now. The environmental 45000 and 9000, they can combine with each other. So we call it integrated management system itself. It's not a technical terminology, or it's not an international terminology which is being used by ISO. Integrated management system, it's only the industrial terminology. It is being derived from industrial. When we have two or more than two standards combined together, we call it integrated management system, right? So 45000, 14000, 9000 and some other standards can also be integrated with each other. So we call it, we have IMS system, or we have HSEQ system. You can say we have QHSE system. So that's why we are also HSEQ system, which means health, safety, environment and quality professionals. Okay, now all systems are being derived from this PDCA cycle. Mr. Demon introduced this PDCA cycle, and this PDCA cycle is very effective cycle. All the standards, they follow the framework which is being derived from PDCA. What is the meaning of PDCA? Plan, do, and
check and act. Yeah,
very good. Plan, do, check and act. So all the standards are now following PDCA. The standard says that before starting your activity, you must plan, right? Before starting your activities, you must plan. Otherwise, you will not be able to to meet your target. So the standard, similarly in the standard, we have the initial clauses which are going to focus on planning activities. Then once you have a strong plan, now it's time to implement your plan. We call it do part. Okay. So if you have a good plan, you can implement your plan easily. When you are considering all the hurdles, all the possibilities in your planning side, then you can implement a good management system or the requirements. Once you are implementing the requirements, then you need to check whether the requirements are meeting or no. If the requirements are up to the mark or no. If the requirements are meeting according to our company standard, according to the legal requirements, or according to the management system standard. So this part is called check. And that is why we have the quality assurance. That is why we have quality control. We have HSC department. We have quality inspectors. We have safety inspectors. What is their duty? To check if the activities, if the products, if the services are meeting the requirement of quality standards, safety standards, or some other standards. Then we have ACT. What is ACT? ACT part is, excuse me. ACT part is basically our improvement part, right? ACT part is our improvement part. So when we are implementing our standard, and once we identify some of the gaps in our existing standard, then we are basically improving. Then we have the provision that now it's time to improve our system. As I told you initially, that if your management system is not going to give you the improvement, which means that you are not be able to apply this standard with a true spirit, right? So when you are having the check part, you will find some error, you will find some deviations, you will find some non-conformities. So now next time you are going to make investigation on these non-conformities, accidents. So the next time these issues are not going to be repeated, and the system is going to be improved, further improved. So to further improve, what we need to do, again, go to the planning part, make the objectives, right? Make the targets. Again, go to the planning part. So this cycle is a continuous cycle. All the standards are following the same cycle of PDCA. Quality management principles, I will discuss a bit faster now, because we need to take some time for the question answer, and we have another webinar at 8 o'clock related to electrical safety. So quality management principles are basically, there are again, these are the principles on which the ISO 9000 system is being derived. Or in other words, you can say that if you will be able to understand quality management principles, then for you, understanding of ISO 9001 standard will be very easy. It will not be a difficult thing. So what are these? Customer focus. Quality management system want that you should always be focused on the customer requirements, customer needs and expectations, right? To see what is the trend in the market. So customer focus. If your company is not the customer focus, if your products, if your services are not the customer focus, then just recall the example of Nokia. Just recall the example of Motorola, right? So now nobody knows them. They are out of market. Why? Because they thought that my product is a very special product and I am the market giant. So the people have to use what we are developing rather than looking the requirements of the people. So customer focus is a very important tool. There are many clauses in the standards which are going to fall in customer focus. All marketing clauses, sales clauses are going to focus on customer focus. Then we have leadership. Again, if there is lack of leadership, if the leadership commitment is not there, you cannot implement any management system. If it is a quality management, if it is a safety management. So leadership, which means top management commitment, top management support in providing the decision making, top management support in providing the resources, top management support in fulfilling the objectives and targets. So this is a very necessary requirement which the top management have to provide. Otherwise, your management system will not be a good management system. Engagement of people. Before, as I told you, the standards were roaming around one person, quality management representative or quality manager or health and safety manager or health and safety. Now a standard required that this management system should be involve the maximum people in the company who are especially responsible for the decision making, those who are involved in the core activities of the company. So engagement of people is very necessary. Your management system should not be limited to the quality manager office or health and safety manager office. It should be implemented throughout the company. Then we have improvement. Then we have process approach. All the processes are interconnected with each other. If one of the process is going to be lack or is going to be down, the other process which are connected to this management system, they are also going to be down. For example, if you are having a building or you are having a room, if I'm going to destroy one pillar, then the rest of the pillar will also going to be fall. So this is very necessary to have the process approach. If any of your department will get major non-conformance, which means the whole company is getting the major non-conformance. It's not that the purchase department has got the non-conformance or the other department, quality department has got the non-conformance. Improvement, again, we already discussed much about improvement, that the outcome of every standard is improvement. Evidence-based decision making, it is very necessary, evidence-based decision making. No girgir, in simple words. You must have data available before you are going to take any decisions, right? Don't go with only the experience. Yes, experience is very important, but data numbers are also very necessary to take the decisions. So our evidence-based decision making will be focusing on our technical expertise. The companies, they do the analysis, they do the data collection, they have the database departments. So on the basis of these things, they decide what will be our next action, how we are going to expand, how we are going to launch new products and services and all these things. Then we have relationship management, which means the relationship with your customers, the relationship with your suppliers. Your suppliers are your improvement partners. So you have to be very careful while you are dealing with your suppliers. You have to be very careful while you are dealing with your customers. So this relationship management is very necessary to follow all the time. Now you can see the clauses. The clauses.
Mr. Anas, sir.
Yes, please.
I have just one question.
Yes, please.
You just explained that relationship management. So in relationship is only required for customers and suppliers?
No, when we talk about relationship, as I told you, we are going very fast. This relationship in between the management and also the other staff. All the interested parties, it includes, we are going to discuss in the clauses also, all the interested parties, if it is internal interested parties, if it is external interested parties, we need to have the relationship among them, right?
Thank you, sir. Thank you.
Now, next is about the clauses. As you can see in one slide, we have both the clauses available. So 0, 1, 2, 3, these are only for the reference purpose. They are not required to implement within the organization. These are not the auditable clauses. These are only for example, when you purchase the book, there is always a normative reference. There is always that I dedicate this book to my mother, right? So these about the biography of author. So these are all the references, but the scope, as we can see, the scope of any of the management system, it defined that these are applicable to 9001 and 45001 to almost all types of industries, companies, corporates, even your bakala, your shops can also implement 9001, 45001 standards. It is clearly different. The scope depend on activities and the geographical boundaries, which we need to define when we are implementing the standards. Then we have normative references, the terminologies, and from where they have taken the requirements. These references are available for your reference. So you can go to verify or in further detail if you want to see those things which are written in the standard from where they have taken. So these are all in the normative reference. Then we have terms and definitions. Definitely when you are starting reading the standard first time or initially, you will find many difficult words. There are certain terminologies which are technical. So these requirements are going to be fulfilled in the section of clause number 3, which is terms and definitions, right? Then we have starting from clause number 4. The clause number 4 is basically our main clause, which is going to be implemented. Understanding the organization and its concept. You can see it is the same in ISO 9001. It is the same in ISO 45001. Then there are many sub clauses. right? 4.1, 2, 3, 4. So in this clause, the purpose of this clause is basically to understand about needs and expectations of your interested parties. The first thing what you need to do is define, when you are going to define the context of organization, what is your scope, what is the purpose of my company, what are my products, who are my customers, who are our interested parties, who are our internal interested parties, who are our external interested parties. And then we need to do the study, what are their needs and expectations. So when we will be doing this activity for quality management system, we will be focused on the business. When we will be doing this activity for health and safety management system, we will be focusing on the health and safety requirements, not the quality requirements all the time. So then in clause number 5, we have leadership. As I told you, any of the standard implementation cannot be successful unless the leadership is involved. So in the quality leadership, you need to have the commitment and leadership. How we can judge the leadership and commitment? By the decision making, by the involvement of leadership in the decision making, by provision of resources, by attending the meetings and events which are going to held for the improvement of quality management system and health and safety management system. Then in both standard, again, requirement is the policy. You need to have the policy. You need to develop the policies. There are some of the requirements which are mentioned in the clauses that you need to have these commitments available with the policy. Then again, we have organization roles and responsibilities. For this purpose, that's why if you all who are working in the companies, they have the job descriptions available, they have the organization charts available, they have the roles defined. So these are the requirements for related to health and safety, and these are also the requirements related to the quality management system. In health and safety system, there is an additional requirement. We call it participation and consultation. Because once you are going to apply this standard, who are at the main hazard? The top management, the managers, or the workers? Definitely our workers are at the main risk, right? They are the one who are always exposed. So the workers are the main hazard. So when we are going to make any decision making which are relevant to the health and safety, we need to take their consultation. It doesn't say that you need to take their advices or in every decision making, but when you are going to apply health and safety requirement for them, you need to take their consultation. You need to ask them. Okay, you need to take them in confidence. You can do this by having meetings and by arranging seminars or by one-to-one discussion with the worker representatives as well. Then we have clause number 6, planning part, very important. As required by quality, as required by health and safety, we need to have the risk assessment, identification of hazards, what are the risks and opportunities. And here you can raise at your health and safety issues and quality issues which can impact on your business, right? So this is again, it will be considered, it not necessary to have the SOP available. We can make this in one format of our risk register. Then we have the clause called support. Support is a part of clause number 6 was like our planning part, P part. Then 7 and 8 are our do part. Resource means all the resources department, which means human resource, maintenance department, awareness of the people, training, competence activities. So these are all covered in clause number 7, which is our support. And how you are going to communicate with your interested parties, internal interested parties or external interested parties. These are all being defined in the clause number 7, which is the communication. And 7.5 is again very important clause, which is the documented information. How you are going to develop the procedures, who is going to review, who is going to approve, how you are going to discard the obsolete documents, what is the validity of this document, right? These all being defined in clause number 7.5, which is the part of support. Then we have clause number 8, which is the most lengthiest clause. I will try to explain in a very short time. Clause number 8 is basically our operations clause. Whatever the company's products and services are there, we need to define here. What are the specifications? How we are going to implement the health and safety system? These all we are going to define in our operations clause. In clause number 6, we have identified the hazards, right? For the health and safety. In clause number 8, we are going to apply the controls. Keep the example of risk assessment in your mind when you are reading clause number 6 and clause number 8. In clause number 6 required to identify the hazard and their consequence. Clause number 8 to apply the control. And when you are going to apply the control, you need to again see the same hierarchy which you are learning since long time: elimination, substitution, engineering control, administrative control, and PPEs. So if your company is involved in design and development, you need to define how the design is being carried out, how you are going to validate your design, how the design SOP is being established, who is going to approve, what is the competency of the people who are involved in the designing development phase. This clause has one new thing which is called control of externally provided products and services. What does it mean? It means that control on your suppliers, control on your vendors, right? So this is now introduced as a requirement in health and safety also. Before it was only in the 9001 standard. Now it is a requirement about not only with your for suppliers, also for the contractors and outsource works, right? Because anyone who is associated with the company, who is working under the boundary of the company, he is now your responsibility. If he is a daily wages staff, he is a visitor, he is a labor, he is contractual, he is permanent, those who are working in the boundary of your company, they are now your responsibility, and you need to define controls for them. Sometimes companies, they apply this control by signing the agreement. At the time of agreement, they put these requirements, and sometimes they apply these control by the help of their quality and health and safety departments. So it's your own choice, but it's better that you should deal these things at the time of agreement. Like Aramco do that before taking you as a vendor, they do your audits, they see your documentation, they see your all system of competence, and then they approve you. So similarly, you can also do, because once the accident is going to be happen in your facility, you will be the responsible person. It will also disturb your own injury record. You cannot say now that it's the labor, it's the contractor employee who, if it is at your side, it's your responsibility. Another requirement in this clause is the emergency preparedness. Nowadays, emergency situations are there. We need to identify the possible emergencies. Every company, they have different type of emergencies. We need to identify the emergencies. We need to have the documented planning available, and we need to check. For example, as required by civil defense here, minimum once in a year, we need to have fire evacuation drill, right? So we need to check our response, how it is going to be improved, our system. What are the lacking in our system when we are going to perform the drill? So in 9001, we can see that there is also what are the control on your products and services when you are manufacturing, and when you are going to release, who is going to approve, who is going to, you see, sometimes you have seen that there is a sticker of QC pass, right? So who is going to pass this? Who is the responsible person? How you are going to identify the non-conformities in your system, how you are going to perform the root cause analysis, and how you are going to perform the actions for improvement. These are all part of clause number 8. Then we have performance evaluation. Again, it's a time for checking. PDCA. Now we have completed our D part. Now it's PDCA is now we are at check part. By monitoring measurement, all calibration requirement which are critical to quality, which are critical to health and safety, we need to monitor, which we need to measure. We need to make the calibration of these equipments. We need to measure the we need to measure their sustainability. Another part is to perform the internal audit, external audit, evaluation of compliance, to check by yourself how your system is moving. Because if you are not going to check the system frequently, or if you are not going to check the system time to time, periodically, then maybe your system is going to be collapsed. Maybe when the third party will come for the audit purpose, they are going to identify the non-conformities. So it's better that we should do our own analysis. So most of the time, this is being done by the team of internal auditors, and sometimes you hire the consultant to perform this activity. Management review is a top level document, top level activity in which the top management is going to be involved to make the overall review of the system, overall performance of quality or health and safety management system. Then we have improvement part. As I told you, the last part is ACT, which means the improvement, how to identify the non-conformities and take the actions on these things. These are all in the improvement part. So these are just the flavor of clauses. In detail, we have many courses available. You can get the lead auditor courses, you can get the implementation courses for these management system. The most popular course throughout the world is the lead auditor course, which is for the quality management system also, and health and safety management system also. These are UK. IRCA is basically, IRCA CQI is the UK based platform, international recognized platform. In these courses, in start 2 days, these are mostly in the regular time period, these are 5 days course. But nowadays we are having these courses for more time, like 6-7 days. So in these courses, we discuss the initial 2 days about the standards, about the requirements of a standard, and the last 2 days about the auditing, how to perform the audit. So the benefit of these courses are, once you are going to do these courses, you can do your internal audit efficiently. You can face the audit as a auditee very efficiently. You can implement the standard requirement in a much better way. And you can have your second party audit. You can do the audits of your vendors. You can also act as a freelance auditor, because most of the time the certification bodies, they don't have the auditors available for every field. So they hire freelance auditors, which are going to perform the activities as per need. So I have seen many of the certification bodies, they take, I mean, I also do freelance auditing with certain certification, international certification bodies. So this is a 5 days course, and at the end of the training, there is an exam for 2 hours. And for non-English speaker, there is half an hour extra. So whenever you have planned to take this course, you can start, but it's better that you should have some basic understanding of quality or health and safety before going to these courses, especially if you are in a management side, if you are an engineer, if you are on a managerial position. So these courses are going to help you a lot, because you will be responsible for this management system. So 9001 course, inshallah, we are going to start from 19th of this month, day after tomorrow. And if anyone interested, they can contact us anytime. So there will be evening classes for this course. Way forward, after having understanding of these standards, if you have the international qualification, you can go internationally, you can meet their requirements. Even if for the immigration purpose, these standards are going to help you. These are some of our popular courses which we are going to launch time to time. You can see the schedule for our upcoming courses. And if you have any questions, you can ask. Yes, the next 3 minutes, I can take the questions and then we will finish.
Thank you, Mr. Anas, for the wonderful presentation. Someone asked about the cost of ISO 9001.
You can see here ISO 9001 is lead auditor course is regular price worth 3,600. Now we have virtual course. All the courses are virtual courses. So the cost is 2,100 plus VAT. So it's very much reduced now.
Sir, I have one request. Hello. Can
Yes,
you hear
please.
me, sir?
Yes, please.
Sir, after clause number 8, the connection was disconnected. So could you please just briefly define the clause number 9 and 10?
We will share these clauses with the full video of this webinar on, inshallah, YouTube. So we will share the link so you can listen again and again and again and again. Right?
Okay, okay, sir. Okay, sir. Right.
Any other question, please?
So there is
Mr.
one
Anas.
question.
Okay.
Yes, please.
And from Mr. Anas, sorry.
Yeah, you
you speak
yes,
first.
yes, you can. Sir, actually, I have one question. 45,000. We have a 45,001 standard in our company. So can you please tell one or two objective of that standard?
You can have many objectives like improvement in the injury rate, improvement for the health and safety training, right?
Okay.
The improvement in the legal requirements of health and safety. So these 3 are the major objectives. Always remember, when you are going to define the objective for health and safety, always consider that the improvement in the injury rate, improvement with the training for the activities of the people, and the improvement in the legal requirements.
Okay, thank you, sir.
What is your plan for ISO 45,000? One of participants.
45,000, inshallah, after 9001, we will, during the Ramadan, inshallah, we are planning for 45,001. We will keep you updated. If you are in our groups, we will keep you sending the messages.
Sure, sir.
You can share your queries at training@hscqprofessionals.net. What will be the cost of ISO 45,001?
The same as 9001, which is 2,100 plus VAT. Okay, guys, thank you so much. I wish best of luck to all of you and hope that this.
Mr. Anas, I have one question.
Actually, the time is over. If you can ask me on WhatsApp in the group, we can reply to you, please. We have
Okay,
another
okay.
webinar at 8 o'clock.
Okay, okay, Nas, but I really want to appreciate the things you have explained in a very easy language. So very impressive. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much all.
Thank you so much, sir. Many thanks. Many thanks.
Thank you, guys. Thank you. Keep with us. We will be start our next presentation of electrical safety just within 5 minutes. Thank you for your patience.
Thank you, guys. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much, sir.
Thank you very much, sir.
Thank you. You're most welcome. We will be having another webinar of electrical safety starting right after 2 or 3 minutes. If you guys having any query regarding training and development, you can feel free to contact with us. It's training, TRAINING, training @hseqprofessionals.net. Thank you for joining us, and we will start our electrical safety seminar very soon. No, we are not issuing any sort of certificates for this since it will be an informative seminar. Yes, but if you will part of our training, full training, we will be issuing a certificate.